Hey, welcome back guys. So in this video, I will show you how to create a service and assign our task definition to a service and which will create a containers in your cluster. So in the previous videos, I have covered how to create a cluster, how to create a task definition. In case you missed, I would recommend you to go back and view those videos first for better understanding. So now I'll go to the cluster. So we have a one cluster, click on it. And you can see there are two instances as part of our cluster and there are no tasks. Okay. And here are the two EC2 instances that we have. Now go to the service. Now just click on create a service. So again, you will have to select the service type depending on the clusters that you have provisioned. Like I have provisioned a cluster with EC2 instances, so I'm selecting that. Task definition, I already have like two task definitions, but this is the one which I have created as part of this demo. Mastering Cloud Task 1, Revision 1. So every time you do some modifications to your task definition, a new version gets created. Probably, as part of your CI/CD pipelines. Every time a developer changes a new tasks or commits a new changes, all of those changes will be committed. They will be built, compiled, packaged, and those changes are created and provisioned into a Docker container, which is Docker image. So once you have the latest Docker image, you will have to change the task definition to the given Docker image. Okay. So whenever you try to change that Docker image or version, it will try to create a new definition for us. And cluster. So we have only one cluster. In case if you have many clusters, make sure you select the right cluster so that you are provisioning the task definition in the right cluster. Service name, Mastering Cloud Service 1. Okay. Since this is my first service. So service type, there are two types available, replica and daemon. Replica is like the number of containers that you would like to provision. So as part of replica, the containers can run together on the same node or they can be spread across multiple nodes. There won't be any constraints. But if you select daemon, meaning your cluster will try to place container on each and every node in a given cluster. If you have 10 nodes in a cluster, a container will be created on all the 10 nodes each. Okay. So primarily used for agents, agent-based components. Like if you have a log agent, if you have a metric server, or you want to collect the node metrics, like when you're using Prometheus and all, you can go with daemon. But in our case, I will go with replica. And number of tasks, meaning how many containers would you like to provision? 2 containers. Health checks, okay, deployment, cluster break, disabled. There are different deployment models available, rolling updates, blue-green deployment. Even in the interviews as well, people will ask you, like, have you ever worked on blue-green and all, which is becoming more popular in the containerized solutions. For now, I'll go with rolling update. Like I said, I'll try to create more videos in deep diving ECS cluster. Please comment. And task placement, like AZ balanced, AZ spread, meaning ideally I want my containers to run on each node in different availability zones for high availability. Like if you want to propagate tags, like if you already defined any tags to your service or task definition, they'll come up, but I'm not doing it. Next, here comes the tricky part. Like we are already using VPCs, health checks and everything is okay. And now comes the load balancing. So like I said, ideally using load balancer is the best option for you to divide traffic to multiple instances in the backend. But I haven't created one as of now. So I can select the application load balancer or any load balancer for that matter, depending on the requirement. So we are going with application load balancer. So you see, it doesn't come up here because I haven't created any load balancer yet. So I will go ahead and create a load balancer and come back here and select the load balancer. Okay. So let this console be like this. I'll open a new duplicate window. So go to your service EC2. On the left, scroll down. We have this load balancers. Click on it. I do not have any load balancers. Click on create load balancer. So you have this application load balancer, NLB, gateway, and here the old one. So I'm not going into details of what load balancers and all, but as part of ECS cluster creation, I'm just creating one to show you how the load balancing happens. So create. So there are a lot of details here, how it works and all of those things. So load balancer name, Mastering Cloud ALB, which stands for application load balancer. It is going to be internet facing and I'm using only IPv4. In case if you are using IPv6, you can select this option. We already selected our VPC and I'm selecting all the subnets I have as part of the given VPC. And security groups, I have one security group, test SG, and removing the default one. And yes, the protocol that we are using is HTTP port 80 and forward this to a target group. Okay. So again, I should create a target group. So I'm opening another window. So there are different types of targets that application load balancer supports. It could be instances, IP addresses, Lambda functions, load balancer. In our case, it will be instances. Target group name, Mastering Cloud ECS demo. Okay. And port is 80. And again, make sure you are selecting the right VPCs, versions, health checks. I'm using all the default one. So sometimes this health checks might change, the path might change depending on the application that you are working on. So the moment you select the target group, it will show you the list of instances. So these two are the instances that are provisioned as part of your cluster. If you can see the name Mastering Cloud Demo cluster, like this is the name that I have given, right? And it appends these ECS instances to your name. So select these two instances. So I am making these two instances a part of my target group and say include as a pending below on port 80. So if your application is running on different ports, make sure you select the right port here. See, they are in pending state. Click create. So I already have other couple of target groups, ignore them. But in our case, it is Mastering Cloud ECS demo. Click on it. And you see the statistics here. Total targets we have is 2, 0 healthy, 0 unhealthy, unused is 2 because we haven't started using these instances yet. Once you started using them, then the instances should become healthy. Okay. So we have successfully created a target group. Now we will use this target group and attach it to our load balancer. Just refresh. And you have your this thing. See, Mastering Cloud ECS demo. So anyone who is listening on port 80 of your load balancer will go to these instances which are part of this target group. a quick summary, and then finally create load balancer. So again, this will take some time for your load balancer to become active, because in the backend it will perform a health check. If you see here, it has initialized the health check. It will wait for your instances to become healthy. Okay, then your healthy instances become healthy. So they are in the process of initial. But in our instances, there is no application running. So I'll go back to our ECS, refresh. So our load balancer will pop up here. Okay, so that is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to use this test container listens on server port 80 and connects to container port 80. I am not using any of the service discovery protocols. Finally, click on next step. Okay. Production listener port 80, we already have. Target group, we already have this. Yeah, just reusing the same information. Click next. So like I said, I'm not using any service discovery. And then finally, everything looks good. Go ahead and create a service. So it will take some time. Okay. And it's there. You can see now your instances, like it has started creating a service, meaning in the backend, it is creating containers for us. Okay. So they are in pending state now. So they will become into running state. So now your containers are running. If you can look at the events. Okay. And there is one service. So we are already in the service, and in that service, we are using this target group on test containers, the name of the containers, and port 80. Now, how do we access our application? Is by using our load balancer DNS name. So my load balancer is another tab. Copy the DNS name and just put it in the browser. Enter. See, it says welcome to Nginx. So depending on the application that you are using, the output will resemble your respective instance or whatever the content you have as part of your Docker container. So that's how you basically provision containers in ECS cluster, guys. So first step is to create a cluster, 2, select the task definition, and 3, create a service. Once you create a service, it will actually provision your containers in the given cluster. You can see this is one service we have. Like this, you can create multiple services. Okay, and depending on your applications, you can select them. And look at the tasks. There are 2 tasks that are running, and these are the instances we have. And you can log into EC2 instances just like any other EC2 instance, and you can execute Docker commands in it as well. Like if you enter inside the container and say Docker PS, you get to see these containers up and running. And that is the reason you are able to access them on the screen here. Okay. So that's all, guys. That's all in this video. Like if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer those. Thank you, and see you in the next video.